The rain hammered against the windows of the old Victorian house in Willow Creek, Northern California, like it was trying to wash away the tension inside. Emily Brooks, 34 and freshly divorced, stood in the doorway of the kitchen, her arms loaded with grocery bags that threatened to split at the seams. It was 5:45 p.m., and the air smelled of damp earth mixed with a faint metallic tang of her stepfather's woodworking tools from the basement shop. Ron Miller loomed there, his broad frame filling the space like a barricade, his eyes narrow and unyielding. "Not tonight, Emily," he growled, his voice low but edged with that familiar authority. "This kitchen's off limits after 5. You know the rules." Emily's heart pounded, not from fear exactly, but from the slow burn of frustration that had been building for weeks. She'd moved back in with her mother, Sarah, 2 months ago after her marriage crumbled under the weight of endless arguments and empty promises. Willow Creek was supposed to be a soft landing, a place to regroup while she poured her energy into her job at the local community health center, coordinating care for folks who'd fallen on hard times. But Ron had turned the house into his personal fiefdom, especially the kitchen. He'd posted a schedule on the fridge, laminated and color-coded, dictating every slot for cooking, cleaning, even using the damn toaster. Efficiency, he'd called it. Order. To Emily, it felt like chains. She shifted the bags, feeling the cold seep through from the frozen vegetables inside. "Ron, please. I need to prep for tomorrow's meal drop-off at the Willow Creek Food Bank. We've got over 50 families signed up, people who've lost jobs at the mill, single parents scraping by. They count on these hot casseroles." Her voice was steady, but inside, she was screaming. Ron crossed his arms, his flannel shirt straining over muscles honed from years of crafting custom cabinets for upscale clients in the city. "Your little do-gooder project isn't my concern. Sarah and I eat at 6 sharp. You want to feed the world? Do it on your own dime, in your own space." Sarah appeared then, hovering in the background like a shadow, her once vibrant eyes dulled by years of compromise. She'd married Ron 5 years ago, after Emily's father passed, seeking stability in a man who promised to handle everything. But handling had turned to controlling. "Emily. Honey," Sarah whispered. "Maybe you could use the microwave in the garage? Ron's had a long day." Emily's jaw tightened. The garage microwave was a relic, barely functional, and certainly not up to batch cooking lasagnas for dozens. "Mom, this is ridiculous. You used to host dinner parties for the whole neighborhood. Now we have to schedule time to boil water?" Ron's laugh was short and bitter. "That's right. Because I pay the bills. I keep the lights on. You're just crashing here because you couldn't keep a husband." The words stung, reopening wounds Emily thought she'd bandaged. Her ex, Mark, had left her for someone less complicated, as he'd put it. But she pushed it down, focusing on the faces at the food bank. Old Mr. Jenkins, who lived on a fixed income and always shared stories from his Navy days. The Ramirez kids, wide-eyed and grateful for anything warm. Lisa, a young mom working graveyard shifts at the diner, barely making rent. "No one eats alone if I can help it," Emily murmured, a mantra she'd adopted after her own lean years post-college. That night, she ended up chopping vegetables on a folding table in the chilly garage, using a hot plate she'd scavenged from a thrift store. The casseroles came out uneven, but they'd do. As she cleaned up, Ron watched from the doorway, sipping his beer. "See? Adapt or leave." Emily met his gaze. "This isn't over, Ron. People need this." He smirked. "Keep pushing, and you'll find out how serious I am about my rules." She lay awake later, staring at the ceiling in her childhood room. The posters long gone, but the memories lingering. Ron's control was suffocating her mother. turning Sarah into a ghost of herself. Emily had seen the signs, the hesitant requests for permission to buy groceries, the flinches at raised voices. It wasn't just about the kitchen anymore, it was about reclaiming space,
Dignity. For all of them.
The restrictions escalated like a storm gathering force. By the next week, Ron had installed child locks on the cabinets, not for safety, but to prevent waste. Spices were rationed. The good knives vanished into his basement shop. "Can't have you dulling them on your charity slop," he'd said. Emily adapted, buying duplicates with her meager salary, hiding them in her room. But each concession felt like surrender. Sarah watched it all, wringing her hands. "He's just set in his ways.
Eminência.
Give it time." But time only made it worse. One evening, Emily came home from a grueling shift, dealing with a flu outbreak at the center, to find her ingredients tossed in the compost bin. Expired, Ron claimed, though the date said otherwise. My house. My call. Emily's blood boiled. Those were for 55 people.
Ron.
Families who've got nothing else. He shrugged. Then buy better stuff. Or better yet, stop playing savior and get your life together. Sarah intervened weakly. Maybe next time. Store them differently. Emily rounded on her.
Mom.
When did you start accepting this? You taught me to cook.
To share.
Now you're okay with him throwing away food while people starve. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. But she said nothing. That night, Emily plotted in the dark. She'd cook earlier. Cleaner. Quieter. Become invisible. But deep down, she knew invisibility wasn't victory. Ron was pushing her toward a breaking point, and when it came, it would shatter more than just his rules. The following Thursday, Emily rose at 4 a.m., the house silent except for the creak of floorboards. She slipped into the kitchen, heart racing, and began assembling her chicken noodle bake. The aroma filled the air, comforting and defiant. But at 5:30, lights flicked on. Ron stormed in, face twisted in fury. What the hell is this? Kitchen hours start at 6. Emily kept stirring. I'm almost done. Just let me finish. He grabbed the baking dish from her hands, dumping half the contents into the sink.
No.
You follow my system or you don't eat here at all. The waste hit her like a punch, enough for 10 families.
Gone.
Ron. Please, Sarah pleaded from the doorway. But he ignored her. Emily's voice trembled with rage. That's food for children. Elders. How can you? He leaned in close, breath hot on her face. Because I can. This is my domain. She backed away, but the seed of a plan took root. If Ron wanted war over the kitchen, she'd bring reinforcements. People who saw hunger not as a nuisance, but a crisis. As she salvaged what she could, Emily whispered to herself, no one eats alone. Ron heard and laughed. Keep dreaming, princess. But dreams, when fueled by desperation, have a way of becoming reality. And Ron's kingdom was about to face its reckoning. Dawn broke over Willow Creek with a chill that seeped into Emily's bones as she drove to the food bank, the half-ruined casseroles jostling in the back seat. She'd managed to stretch them for 40 portions, but guilt gnawed at her. 15 families would go without. At the distribution, faces lit up at first, then dimmed when supplies ran short. Sorry, folks, Emily said, her voice cracking as she turned away the last few. Mr. Jenkins patted her hand. You do what you can.
Dear.
That's more than most, but it wasn't enough. Not when Ron's pettiness was the barrier. Back home, the kitchen felt like enemy territory. Ron had added more locks, one on the pantry, another on the fridge. Inventory control, he announced at dinner. where Emily picked at a salad she'd made in her room. Sarah ate silently, avoiding eye contact. "This has to stop," Emily said later, cornering her mother in the living room. "He's isolating us."
Mom.
Controlling everything. Sarah sighed, looking older than her 58 years. "He provides
Eminência.
the house, the bills. I don't want to rock the boat." Emily's frustration boiled over. "The boat's sinking. Remember when you ran that little baking side hustle? Pies for the farmer's market? Now you ask permission for flour?" Sarah's eyes misted. "That was before. Ron says it's inefficient." Emily hugged her, feeling the frailty in her embrace. "We deserve better." But words weren't action. That night, Emily researched local laws on domestic control, charity interference, health codes for home-based food prep. She found threads, restraining orders, citations, grants for community feeders. It was a long shot, but hunger made her bold. She reached out to Carla Ruiz, director of the Willow Creek Hunger Alliance, explaining the sabotage. "Sounds like coercion," Carla replied via email. "We have resources. Let's talk." The meeting happened 2 days later at a coffee shop downtown. Carla, a no-nonsense woman in her 40s with sharp eyes and a clipboard, listened intently. "Your program's vital, Emily. We've seen demand spike 40% since the mill layoffs. If this Ron's blocking you, that's not just family drama, it's community harm." Emily showed photos, locked cabinets, dumped food, the schedule like a prison timetable. "And he's gotten physical?" Carla's brow furrowed at the description of the baking dish incident. "Push me?"
Yeah.
"Bruised my arm." Carla nodded. "We can loop in authorities. Health inspector. Maybe a deputy for welfare check. And our foundation has emergency grants, $40,000 for proven programs like yours." Hope flickered in Emily's chest. "But I need the kitchen tonight for prep." Carla smiled grimly. "Then we make tonight count. I'll bring backup." The plan coalesced. Emily would attempt to cook, document any interference, and call in the cavalry. It was risky, but Ron's tyranny had left no choice. As she drove home, Emily felt the damming of emotions, slow build of resentment, now ready to burst. That evening, at 5:30, Emily entered the kitchen with her bags. Ron was waiting, arms crossed. "Schedule says no cooking till 7. She set down the ingredients calmly. "I'm starting now." "For the food bank." His face reddened. Like hell. He moved to block the stove. But Emily sidestepped, chopping carrots with deliberate slowness. "Move aside." "Ron." Sarah watched from the hall, wringing a dish towel. "Please. Let's not fight." Ron snatched the knife from her hand, not violently, but firmly enough to send a jolt through her. "My tools. My rules." Emily's pulse raced. "That's mine. Give it back." He held it high, mocking. "Come get it." She reached, and he shoved her shoulder, harder than before. She stumbled into the counter, pain shooting through her hip. "Ron," Sarah cried. He turned on her. "Stay out of it."
Sarah.
"This is between me and your freeloading kid." Emily straightened, phone in hand, recording discreetly. "You've just assaulted me." Again. Ron laughed. "Assault? In my own home?" The door knocked, then sharp, authoritative. Emily had timed it. She opened it to Carla, flanked by a health inspector named Javier Torres and Deputy Elena Vargas, a stern woman with a body cam blinking red. "Evening," Carla said, stepping in. "Emily invited us to observe her charitable food prep." "Any issues?" Ron's eyes widened. "Who the hell are you?" Javier flashed his badge. "County Health. Home kitchens used for community service fall under code. Deputy Vargas eyed the scene. And we're here for a welfare check. Reports of interference and possible domestic issues. Ron's bluster faltered. This is private property. Carla smiled. But public good. Emily's feeding 55 families weekly. That's grant-eligible, $40,000 worth. Sarah gasped. Grant. Emily nodded. For expanding the program. But only if I can cook without obstruction. Javier began inspecting locks. Restrictions. These violate sanitary access codes. Fines start at $300 per infraction. Ron sputtered. It's my house. Deputy Vargas stepped closer. And if you've laid hands on anyone, it's our business. Emily resumed chopping. The knife returned under watchful eyes. Ron hovered, fuming, but powerless. The slow damming broke, emotions flooding as witnesses dismantled his control piece by piece. Sarah, seeing the shift, whispered, I'm sorry.
Eminencia.
I should have spoken up. Emily squeezed her hand. You can now. As the group worked, Ron retreated to the basement stairs, defeated for the moment. But Emily knew this was just the breach. The full flood was coming. The kitchen hummed with unfamiliar energy as Javier methodically unlocked cabinets under Deputy Vargas's supervision. Padlocks on food storage? That's a violation. Impedes proper sanitation. Ron paced the doorway, his face a mask of barely contained rage. You're overstepping. This is harassment. Carla, setting up her laptop on the table, looked up coolly.
No.
Mr. Miller, this is accountability. Emily's program qualifies for our foundation support, but we can't fund in hostile environments. Sarah sat nearby, her hands steady for the first time in months, helping Emily layer the casseroles. Emily's hip throbbed from the shove, but adrenaline masked it. She photographed the bruise discreetly, adding to her evidence file. How many families tonight? Carla asked. 55, including 12 kids under 10. Javier whistled. Blocking that could be seen as endangering minors' welfare. Enhances any charges. Ron stopped pacing. Charges? For what? Deputy Vargas pulled out forms. Let's start with the push. Emily. Statement. Emily recounted the incident, voice even, while Vargas noted it. And previous sabotage? Photos flashed. Dumped food. Locked appliances. Ron's denial came fast. That's not sabotage. House rules. Carla interjected. Rules that prevent charity? Our donors don't like that. Your business, Miller Woodworks, has quite the online presence. She turned her screen, a draft post on the Hunger Alliance page. Spotlight on obstacles, when control starves communities. Ron paled. You post that. My clients bolt, Javier added. Health fines could hit $2,000 if uncorrected. Sarah finally spoke up. Ron, enough. Let her cook. The dam cracked further. Ron grabbed a casserole dish, slamming it down, contents sloshing.
Fine, cook your slop.
But the dish cracked, spilling cheese and noodles across the floor. Oops, he sneered. Deputy Vargas moved swiftly. Destruction of charitable property. That's vandalism. Javier documented the mess. And contamination, another violation. Emily knelt to clean, but Carla stopped her. Evidence first. Photos snapped. The spill a symbol of Ron's crumbling empire. As they worked, Emily felt the buildup release in waves, years of Sarah's submission. Her own swallowed pride, now erupting into justice. You'll help clean this, Emily said to Ron. Voice firm.
He balked.
Me? Vargas nodded. Or we add obstruction. Grudgingly, Ron grabbed towels, kneeling in his own mess. Sarah watched, a spark of resolve igniting. "I've enabled this too long," she murmured to Emily. "No more." The casseroles baked, filling the air with warmth that mocked Ron's cold control. Javier issued citations, 72 hours to remove all restrictions, or daily fines. Carla confirmed the grant, $40,000, plus access to our pro kitchen downtown. Ron's protests weakened. "I built this house." But his voice broke. Deputy Vargas handed Emily a temporary order. 50 feet minimum. Bars him from common areas when you're present. Ron's eyes bulged. "In my own home?" Vargas shrugged. "You made it physical." The flood hit full force as Ron gathered basics from the fridge, his domain now restricted. He slunk to the basement, workshop light flickering on. Emily sealed the last casserole. 55 portions ready. "Tomorrow, no one goes hungry." Carla smiled. "And with the grant, you'll feed hundreds." Sarah hugged her.
I'm proud. Eminencia.
"And sorry." As the team left, the kitchen stood reclaimed, locks gone, schedule torn down. But the real victory was Sarah's straightened posture, Emily's unbruised spirit. Ron's isolation in the basement echoed the emptiness of his control. Hunger for power had left him starved. Morning light filtered through the kitchen windows, casting long shadows over the spotless counters where last night's battle had played out. Emily loaded the casseroles into coolers, her movements efficient but laced with the aftershocks of confrontation. Sarah helped, her hands no longer trembling. "I called a lawyer this morning," she said quietly. "About the house. It's in my name from Dad. Ron's additions don't change that." Emily paused,
Surprised.
"Mom." Sarah nodded. "Seeing him last night. The spill. The threats. It woke me up." Ron emerged from the basement stairs, stopping at the 50-foot mark as per the order, lurking like a ghost at the edge of his former kingdom. "This is temporary," he muttered. Emily ignored him, focusing on the drive to the food bank. There, lines formed early. The Ramirez kids beamed at the warm trays. "Miss Emily, you saved the day." "Lisa." The diner mom hugged her. "Heard rumors of trouble at home. You okay?" Emily smiled. "Better now. And we've got funding to expand more meals. More often. Back home." Javier returned for follow-up. "Locks removed?"
Good.
"But we'll monitor." Ron grumbled compliance, but his eyes burned. Carla called. Gran approved. "Orientation at our kitchen tomorrow." Emily toured it later, a gleaming space with industrial ovens.
No schedules. No lags.
"This is freedom," she whispered. That evening, Sarah cooked dinner, her first unrestricted meal in years. Pasta with herbs from the now-open pantry. Ron ate in the basement, the order enforcing distance. "Think he'll change?" Sarah asked. Emily shrugged. "Doesn't matter. We have." But Ron's resentment simmered. He left notes. "Enjoy while it lasts." Emily documented them, forwarding to Vargas. "Harassment," the deputy replied. "Adds to the case." The hearing loomed in 2 weeks, protective order extension on the table. Sarah attended therapy, unpacking years of erosion. "I shrank to fit him," she admitted. Emily's program grew, 70 families now, with volunteers joining. "Your story inspired us," one said. Ron's business dipped, whispers of the Alliance Post, never published, but rumored scared clients. One night, Ron knocked on the basement door. "Sarah? Talk." She opened it slightly. "What?" He looked haggard. "This is ridiculous." "I'm sorry." "Sort of." But his tone lacked sincerity. "Sorry for what? The locks? The shoves? Starving kids?" Sarah's voice strengthened. "All of it." He shifted. "I overdid the rules." Emily, listening from afar, felt no pity, Only resolve. The flood had reshaped the landscape, no going back. The courtroom in Willow Creek's county building was stark. Fluorescent lights buzzing overhead like judgment itself. Emily sat beside Sarah. The protective order, hearing unfolding with clinical precision.
Ron.
Across the aisle, looked diminished in an ill-fitting suit, his lawyer arguing family misunderstanding. But evidence mounted. Photos of bruises, spilled food, locks, testimonies from Carla,
Javier.
Vargas. Pattern of control escalating to violence, the judge noted, and interference with community welfare. Ron took the stand, voice strained. I just wanted order. The judge leaned forward. Order that endangers others? Denied access to basics. Ron faltered. It was my house. The gavel fell. Order extended 1 year. Ron slumped. Workshop his only refuge.
Outside.
Sarah exhaled. Divorce papers next. Emily hugged her. New beginnings. The program thrived in the Pro Kitchen 100 families weekly. Grants rolling in. Emily moved to a small apartment nearby. Independence restored. Sarah sold pies again, reclaiming her spark. Ron? He ate alone. Business fading. Lessons in humility hard-swallowed. One evening, he showed at the food bank. Cap low. Portion? Emily handed one. No words needed. He ate silently, perhaps tasting regret. Years on, Emily reflected. Control corrodes. Compassion connects. What if Ron had shared the kitchen? Would lives differ? The question lingered. A moral echo. Do we hoard power or feed the world? In Willow Creek, full bellies answered, sharing wins.